Hey everyone, I'm Tassenix, and welcome to Plotting and Scheming. This is our preview episode for Season 51, 5 versus 5 Grand Arena Championship. I'm joined here by my co-hosts Dagger, TJ, and Sashisha. How you guys doing this evening?
Doing well, Tass.
Doing all right. By the way, new
Glad
logo.
Breeze is over.
New logo. Same assholes though, but new logo.
It's true. It's true. All of it's true. The threes thing, the new logo thing, it's all true. So
Yeah.
that's
Also, the asshole part. Don't ever exclude the
Yeah,
asshole
yeah.
part.
very
That
good.
must remain
Very good.
intact.
It's good. It's true. It's true. All of it. Well, fantastic to have you guys here. I know we had a long threes season, so let's go ahead.
Yes.
Let's.
Unbelievably long for no reason.
This one felt a little long to me, but it's also because it's one of my worst seasons in a while. I mean, they all feel long if you're not on the winning side. So it's like that. Now, where did we have our notes here? All right. So let's go ahead and get started. So yeah, this is our interseason episode. We're gonna go into some questions that we're interested in heading into this next season. First, the standard fare, preparation for fives, modding changes, relics getting applied, Omicrons getting applied. What are you guys doing here? I know you guys got some stuff to talk about, steps. So, this isn't our round robin format. So, whenever you guys want to take off, let's talk about it.
Yeah, I put the Omicron on staff. I don't have him like relic at all. I have him restart tier 11. But I figured I would try him at least for some cleanups. Because he takes a bonus turn at the beginning, so hopefully you can kind of like hide him on a team with Magna Guard and B2. Right, that was kind of my thought.
I am super excited to use this guy. Mine is Relic 8. Got the money set for the place. I got to use him in threes just as a cleanup, but getting to see his power, and it got me to take GG to Relic 9, which I've already probably should have done a while ago, but that 100% got me to do it.
Now for the broke jokes like Dagger and myself here who don't have a 7-star stat, can you tell the folks at home how fast is this character at Relic 13? Just, basically standing
fastest character in the game, 220.
Okay,
I think or something like that.
And what kind of mod set have you committed to this beast?
I watched Arnold's and I liked the idea of it. I gave that guy all offense base, some health, and then some potency that's been the way of what I've been looking at. So, and it feels really good, man. Like he punches really hard, and then calling GG to assist, you just get to start going. And the idea, I know everybody's talking about this hindrance on him and the whole CG built it in because they want to mess with him and make him hit back. Yes, you do. You absolutely do want to make him hit back because that makes B2 go bananas. And then as you're doing that, the slaps that are coming back because of it are crazy.
Why the offense? For those. Sorry, were you going to say something, Sasha?
No.
Crit damage would feel like it breaks harder, especially with GG's lead giving negative 40% crit avoid, which is almost functionally 40% crit chance.
I did it because I was looking at the things that Arnold said and then getting to play with it. It felt really good coming in with the damage. So that was kind of my idea.
Early days is the right time for experimentation. So that's fine.
Yeah, so that's where I felt pretty good and pretty reasonable. And plus, I still want him to take a ton of turns. So I've got him about 370 right now. I want him going as much.
Yeah, you got him moving.
Yeah, so it's definitely taking that once, and it's making the requirements for him a lot easier. But when he goes, man, your team goes so much, and then getting more people on the team, it's going to be killing a lot of things. The punch up oh man, I'm so excited. Yeah, sorry.
No doubt.
I think we're looking at high B killers is what it's going to do because you're controlling who the team is hitting, and GG is just going to start deleting people. You're going to see people just start fading away.
Yeah, there is no right time to really bring this up, guys. So I guess this could be our PSA: the death of gas on defense.
Oh
TM.
man, that's gone. That's gone.
Like,
So
just
it's
stop.
not.
Maybe.
Just stop
It-
trying to
Maybe.
make
Well,
here's
this
what I
work.
think.
Depends on the
It's
banner.
not going to work because like
Here's-
you could bounty hunters gas
So
like
so
5
here's my thing with that, right?
seasons ago.
Is it bad? I don't think it's the death of gas. I think it's the death of gas like led clones. Maybe it's
Oh, well,
Yeah,
yeah.
I mean gas 501st,
right?
of
Tess
course.
also
Yeah,
does
yeah.
this thing. Tess also does this thing where he conveniently ignores both insight and the number of people with a 330 speed OG Mando. So, well, what he's saying is technically correct. The number of people kitted out to beat gas in fives is very low.
Yeah,
But you only
but
get
the
so
point-
many slots, though. I mean, there are just going to be better teams to put on defense than gas right now.
But also, we're at
I'm
the
not
point where
arguing
we're
that. I'm not
talking
arguing
about GG just getting to run roughshod over him.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
like, okay,
It's like,
okay,
oh my
guys,
God, man.
guys,
Oh my God.
But
guys,
when I've seen
it's
it,
time.
when I've seen it, it's not like it's getting 65 banners, and if you're gonna 59 my gas with your GG, like I'll take that.
No, you're punching it.
I hear you. I do hear that, but
I'm not saying you're wrong about it being on defense. I'm saying that gas is now in this role of if your opponent is going to not get a 65 or better, this is a good team to play.
I think that's fine.
As opposed to this is my bottom front wall and it has been for a year. Right, we're starting to move towards gas being back or top based on what your opponent's going to use against it.
I don't even know
Yeah.
what's on the board, man.
that's fair.
I agree. I think it's certainly out of the set it and forget it category. I mean, I find interesting, and I think it's probably going to inspire some creativity out there. Is you start going down the super team rabbit hole, and you think about like I mentioned in the last threes, I used Keller and Beck, Gas, and Ahsoka. Some modest success, but it was like different. It was and honestly, it was just kind of fun to set it. And then you think about like the Galactic Republic faction. Certainly, there's going to be some love to it this year upcoming. But even with what's out there now, it's like, hey, maybe you try and juice up a JMK squad and just see is it going to hold any better if I throw gas there. Totally.
Yeah.
And the other thing that I find tough is the pivot to offense is not particularly attractive because gas. Yeah, I mean. Gas can take out Ray. Gas can do a lot of there. Things have been doing people have been doing pretty cool stuff with Gas for a while, but the banners are never great, right? So if we're in an efficiency meta, so it's kind of interesting.
Shock 501st or 501st Creps both kind of piqued my interest.
Yeah.
Right. Like if you are to pull Gas off that team, there are some applications I've already considered and looked into, which goes into something I'll say. I actually remodded my 501st slightly. To take finally arc is not going first, right? I actually put the hyper speed on my Rex, right? Because I've been one of those people with like the bum ass 320 speed Rex, you know what I mean? 315 speed Rex, right?
You
I've
disgust
been kind of
me
because I like having my arc go before Rex.
You
right?
disgust
So
me.
so I have remedied that to make my arc trooper punch way harder. Because under the 501st, Gas does most of the work, right? Like we can all admit that Gas does most of the work. So with him maybe being off the team, I then just went back and touched up some of that team. I touched up B2 and B1 a little bit. You're right, because Tash, you remember when I did their mods like a year and a half ago? I clearly have better mods for them, somewhat better, right? So I did bump both their mods up a little bit.
Okay.
I don't think I can't discount what you're saying though. No, I'm actually just going to add in what you said. You made a very good point. It was probably facetious at some point, but it's true. Where we're at with these crons, it's basically, and you called it. I'm not taking this. Set all your GLs on defense. This is the meta of off meta is back. Look at what Mon Mothma does. Look at what Bo does. You can set all your GLs on defense again and make them figure it out. And you have off meta answers to a lot of what you're going to set. It's back to putting that, or you're doing these crazy B teams with some other super teams, and that's going on defense. I think you called it out. I think you put it 100% correct. So it's tough to say what we're going to see, what's going to end up, because you only have so many slots.
Yeah, I finished most of my rounds of 3v3 with a GL level thing left over.
Yeah.
And I felt like you guys saw some of my defense. I felt like I wasn't placing light defenses.
Mm-hmm.
It's just even in threes, we now just have so much. So fives is just going to compound that even more, especially with Bowen. I mentioned this before. Bowen averages being I win buttons is just. I'm
Well,
not saying
dude,
it's bad for the
but
game. I'm
you
just
get your
saying it
Mon
really
Mothma back.
skews the game.
You have Mon
Oh yeah,
Mothma back now. You have the circle jerk is now complete again.
yeah. Oh
You've got
yeah,
5
yeah,
characters.
yeah.
So
Oh,
that's what, I'm not
oh,
trying to be a dick about
oh,
it. I'm like,
oh,
but
oh.
right, that's what I'm
Sorry.
saying. It's true. It's true. Biggs is on the table now. All these things that were doing stuff are now doing crazy stuff. You
Yeah.
have GG with a moneymaker of stop who's getting a bonus turn where even though you only have the 3-star dagger with the Omi, you're light years ahead. Because sure, start killing stuff. Watch what GG does to you. You have all these other
Yeah, yeah.
tools that are
It
out
turns out
there.
when you apply it turns out when you apply target lock, you gain turn meter, and when B1 assists him, you gain more turn meter. So it turns out that you're not just going first. You're probably just having him as Omi means
Dude,
you're probably
on
having your
three
whole team
characters,
go first.
I took B2 and I took stop and I took GG. I took so many turns getting to go on this people that they were just dying. This was on, we're not talking against, we're talking Rex because it was a cleanup and I had to, with Rex 5s. I never stopped. They barely got to do anything and they were just dead. The power that's there. So it's like knowing that, seeing what Mon Mothma has done with Biggs and the team loop that's coming and what it can kill. We already know about Bo.
Yeah,
Um,
saw having Kyle Kara with Chiriton Bays now.
dude, and I'm
Mon Mothma
telling
doesn't
you,
need Kyle.
I saw what this does, and I'm still going back to it. Bodhi is the most annoying fucking thing on that team. He will always come back and TM loop the shit out of you as well. I
Yeah, but
know
we're not going to have this argument about Bodhi's Cron being better than yours.
calling it better, calling it different. I think it's there.
Okay, but to that point, like compared to using, Biggs Cron, for example, which might, what's the highest application of the teammates that go with either Bodhi or the
When
next best, Rebel Crons?
yeah,
Like what
yeah,
do you think the highest
yeah.
aspirations are,
Because
It's
Mon Mothma takes Wedge, Biggs, HRS, and Scout, HRS and POW, and then
yeah.
Saw takes Kyle, Kara, Chiriton Bays, and
I'm gonna.
what's his
I'll
and
swap one. I'll put Krex. I
Hmm.
don't think we can exclude Krex. Put Krex on that Saw team.
Hmm.
I have correct allocated other places at least initially, but I do take your point.
All right. Well, now we
My
had a
point is
good.
that Bodhi doesn't fit anywhere.
Well, we
I
we
see.
we can continue here on Bodhi, but I just wanted to wrap up the gas thing and saying you guys rightly corrected me that there's maybe no applications for not it's not that there's no applications for gas on defense, but perhaps the days of the rote use of the 501st are over. And and if it's not over, it's something you have to be mindful of every match now. It's certainly this upcoming season anyway. All right.
Yes, I think this. Yeah.
Yeah, no, go ahead.
Is there any other prep anybody else has been doing? I'm just because I kind of filibustered that a little bit.
No,
So
no, no, no. I was gonna bring us back around to it, but the prep and everything we'll get back to it. I just wanted to bookend the first thing and about the Bodhi. I mean, really, like I know you've been wanting. It's that Mean Girls meme, right? You're trying to make it work, but you might want to stop trying to
yeah,
make it
TJ,
work.
stop trying to make fetch happen.
No, I will
So
not stop. 'Cause
what's
I
it
know
gonna
it's
do? What's it gonna do? What's it gonna do?
him giving the team more abilities to loop
Mm-hmm.
is there. I
Yes.
don't know what application is
Is
that
it
in because I want to see what it looks like with the Omi applied. The one thing we don't get to test and why I haven't been able to do it is you need to have Saw's Omi
Mm-hmm.
in application to be able to make that work. That being able to go first, basically on what it's going to do, and then how that applies out with Bodhi is what I want to see. I
So
don't
you're
know yet.
thinking that this is an offensive application?
Oh, you can't do it with the deep. You're not beating out a turret, but the level of damage that comes with
Okay.
the turret there, but the
I
ability
will
to
say this.
loop is really good, and I'm telling you, there is a lot of potential to make this work. And he comes back so much, it is ridiculous, and the amount of Terminator he's
Hmm.
giving the team to work in that is huge.
All right.
I think we'll have to see what beats it week one, right? Because I think everybody and their mother is going to be placing this team on defense, and then
Mm.
if something cheap beats it, then we move to the conversation of what do we do with this team. Right. But until then, I think the Bodie thing is kind of a back burner because,
Mhm.
man, that team did not have any cheap counters in this. Jesus Christ.
Yes, it does. You just make Qui-Gon work. You're ridiculous. It's so easy. It's just like, of course, I'm saying that as I would also say with Trey against Bo, right? It's easy, guys. You just be better than the game, and you automatically win. Stop being ridiculous.
That's right. Always have the dice break your way.
But yeah,
Yeah.
in 3v3, having Chirrut 45 seconds in, slap somebody for 500K.
Yeah. Including GLs.
Fucking terrifying. Yeah, just
Including GLs.
terrifying.
Including GLs, dude. Having my JML disappear like ATF did me with my C and making you question your life and your progression and did I mod my character is a funny one. And he did just that.
Bonk. Yep. All right. Now, I know we've been just kind of running around you here, Sasha. Did you have any thoughts on these last couple points here before we get back into, what other prep we're doing here for the upcoming fives?
It's specific to Bodie. No, I was disappointed that there weren't more impactful 3v3 applications, and I kind of lost hope for the reasons that we were just going over. Like DJ was saying, Chirrut was just so effective. I actually am curious to see what like kind of just working in the Chirrut framework, like what that Rebel Fighter Squad might be able to do on offense. Like it ramps damage so quickly, it's inhibited by doubt. So like, people placing that on D can make it a challenge. But
and it's so cheap to apply at level 3 to a team.
Right? It is. Yeah. And suddenly you do that, and even LV, who would seem like particularly ripe for that Rebel Fighter Squad, you're not going to do it with doubt, because if you just, unless you play it not only well but with some pretty darn good luck and keep doubt off of Chirrut, you're going to run into some issues. So no, that was it.
All right, very good. So what else you guys working on? I mean, I guess I really haven't chirped in much myself here. I'll show it here on screen for the folks at home. Paying attention to some of my opponents here, I liked Sasha's crit damage Iden, so I put some love into Iden. I've got to get a little more comfortable putting her on defense. I have a much better cron for her for the start of this season for any application than I had in 3s. So really looking forward to it. But yeah, she's Relic 9. That's I've had that for a couple months, and that's just nice added boost with damage and crit damage and all that. But 301 speed, 243% crit damage, smidge of potency there, just under 64%. 9,700 offense. I got a great secondary slice this morning. 110% crit chance, and so she's gonna be brapping people. That's one of them. Put some offense onto my range trooper. Who else have I been working on? I mean, I've been pushing up the speeds of my bounty hunters. I'm not sure yet. Like, bounty hunters have felt a little disused to me in my memory of the last 5 season. And it was, in part, at least one time, because they weren't actually fast enough. And it wasn't really Mando's problem. This wasn't like a Mando's versus gas thing. It was something where it was a boss grief situation with the Zam speed boost, and it wasn't quite enough. So I have been pushing them up. I'm not exactly sure what for, but my spider sense says, like, if you're gonna be doing a lot of good things, you need to be a little bit faster. So they're
where did you end up them? Where did you land them?
Yeah. Let me see here.
Because I'm in the mid 340s, and I feel like they're fast enough with my Zam giving them like.
No, this should be about mid 340s. I want to say he's 344, so grief would be 343.
Yeah, so that's about where I have mine, and So to your point, I haven't felt. So I would say I use them like 2 out of every 3 rounds.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't say that I use them super frequently. I would say I think last 5 I probably used them 6 times, once as a cleanup.
Mm-hmm.
Right, so you're right. They're falling off a little bit in the sense that there are just more effective teams to use, and as teams continue to get I don't know how you guys feel about this, but like I noticed that when I go into battles, I don't really check speeds anymore because half the time I'm going in, it's like they gain turn meters, so I'm gonna go second. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I feel like we're just in this position where so many teams have so many just baked in mechanics to where I think bounty hunters mechanics are just a little, weak.
Yeah. I mean, I understand what you're saying. And the other thing I'm trying to do is push Zam up to like something like four. What is it? 344, something like that. At 344, she'll share out 82, and so
That's what I'm at.
yeah, that's what I'm trying to be. I just need a smidgen more. You can see on screens 340. So trying to add that little extra smidge of speed is where I'm trying to take it. And like I said, I'm not exactly sure where, but got where I was able to make use of my bounty hunters in the last 3 seasons. It was greatly inhibited by doubt almost anywhere. So just actually being really fast on them is something I did. So that I guess that's some good general advice. Is check any loose speed you've got around and try and upcycle that through your roster. Try and push up the speeds where it's comfortable to do so. We're not talking about any kind of sacrifice, but just double check that you don't casually have speed going to waste on a team where being clocked really matters. Like your DR, your bounty hunters, stuff of that kind. But yeah, what else you've been?
Can I before we jump off that task,
Yeah, sure.
just to stay on bounty hunters for a second?
Sure.
Maybe not the topic we all anticipated, but I did something a while back in remodding my bounty hunters that I've been grateful for in several matches since. And that I look at my bounty hunters. I don't use them overly aggressively. I don't tend to have like the highest value targets for them, but they're like a break glass thing for me. If I'm afraid I'm going to get stuck, if I need to tear down a team, the disintegrate from OG Mando is super valuable, right? And even if it's other stuff like taking Tuskens or something else, I found quite often that like the success factor was, does Mando survive? And so absolutely there's sort of like the primary consideration, what's the speed on my Bosk and on my Grief. But I figure every bit as important is like, is Mando going to survive? So what I did is I actually, and I'm pretty sure it's still there, I'll take a look right now, but I moved a ton of defense mods over my OG Mando. And in fact, I think for the last I've got them all defense modded, like in terms of sets, and like did what I could to make him as thick as possible. In fact, I remember when I remodded him, he was, I think, the highest base defense out of any Mando in the game.
Mm-hmm.
And I've modded an extra 20.7% physical survivability defense on him. And it's made a huge difference for me, man. I recommend it. Maybe he's lost a little bit of speed. He's certainly lost some DPS. But for me, most of the time it came down to like, all right, if they hammer Mando, is he going to survive? And I can say like across a bunch of different fronts, like he can get decently thick, and it's really helpful. So that was something I did with my bounty hunter.
Yeah. To echo what Sasha did, I took a different route, but to the same end, where I have a prot, circle, cross, and arrow on my end. I didn't have the defense to allocate, but I can sure stack him with a shit ton of prot.
Yeah, that's kind of like what I've got going as well. It's that mine's in a very fast crit damage crit chance set, and it's a crit chance triangle speed arrow, but then it's prot, circle, and cross. So not being super fast is less important, I think, than actually having a decent amount of crit chance on them. Where are you on landing on him with that, Sasha?
120.
I'm at 95%.
That's pretty reasonable.
Oh, yeah, I'm
for
like
full
120.
defense.
Yeah. So I
really
definitely face, but I face them relative to like daggers who like you've got breathing room in their dagger where it's like if somebody's got a crit avoid arrow on something or they've got some crit avoidance on a DC, you're still a certainty to crit. I run a little bit of risk, but anyway, I haven't looked back. I've been really pleased with
Oh yeah,
defense model.
yeah. Same with my aura. My aura also has like prot, arrow, cross, and triangle, circle,
Right.
cross, and arrow with a crit damage triangle. So yeah, yeah. My bounty hunters, like you have said, their utility in raw damage has been not as high for the last, I don't know, 9 months ish, maybe more.
Yeah.
Just to ballpark it. So they're more of a utility team where it's like, there's those teams where it's like there's this one priority target that if you just get them dead, your bounty hunters can clean up the rest and grief can keep you alive.
Yeah. Yeah.
I have found that to be the case frequently. Which I know I'm jumping topics, so we can jet back if anybody has anything else. But what are you guys starting to prep for Bane, if anything?
I do want to jump on one thing that's not being discussed, and I think it carries as much weight
sorry.
there. No, and it's okay. I didn't want to derail the boundaries. I think it's a good topic to go over. This is something I think falls actually in Sasha. He got me thinking about it. What he does. Is there any specific stats or things you're doing with your datacrons? We're at the week now. I think this is the perfect call for, and I know what you've done to me before, Sasha. You've done something like tenacity or something else.
Yeah,
I do.
right.
This is why, though, right? The nightmare that comes in play. So because of that, it's like, are you guys doing anything tricky? Obviously, deflection.
No, that's a great question.
But we didn't do it, so it's like, are you trying to get a stat like 80% deflection on Ray, or are we trying to make these teams that we know are going to hold? And it's like, are you trying to? I know, but this is my point. As
don't
I know
run
Arnold
into Arnold if you get that 80% deflection. The man's gonna just explode.
But Sasha,
Darth Vader lead instead of DP lead, like so you're not brain dead.
Yeah, so anyway. Sasha, as the world of things, got me to think about this. Is like, what are you trying to do? What is your end goal for this week while we're in here trying to obviously get our crons in the right spot? So for all of you, I would ask, so all of you guys, any specific things you're trying to accomplish?
Well, I would start with Sasha because, we learned at a young age about hip-hop with Baby Got Back that Sir re-rolls a lot is the person we must talk about.
That's why I asked. I think it's a great one for the people too, though, right? It's like, because Sasha comes up with some sneaky shit. Let's just be honest. He does some things that no one's going to look at, and if you're not paying attention to that thing of a thing, you get caught.
Okay, well, I mean, that's your cue. We're swinging the spotlight over your way. Everybody else's lights are dimmed, and go, Sasha.
Sure. Yeah. I can't say I have particularly devious master plans for this week, but what I've broadly been doing, sort of first principle, like I mentioned last time we got together, I want to make sure I've got enough doubt DCs. So that's the first thing that I'm doing, because I just find it much in the way sort of the right stat stacking can do it. Having doubt on certain things just totally sways the match. So that's the first thing that I'm going to be doing this conquest, is just like hammering out probably 3 or 4 more doubt DCs, because I ran out a few times last time. Then I actually have been a little underwhelmed with the impact of most of the stats in set 13. Deflection is one that can be really meaningful. I really only have one cron now that stacks it pretty heavily. I think it's on all but one roll on that cron, and I do put it on Ray. And that, as I've mentioned previously, just because of mastery stacking for Jabba, it doesn't prevent Jabba, even though Bausch is special because she ramps her own accuracy. But it sure makes the off-meta counters of with EP Star Killer, EP MJ Star Killer, an upper risk, so deflection on that front. The tenacity stuff can be brutal, and we've seen it with Phoenix. We've seen that with Imperial Troopers under Iden.
You don't talk about Phoenix. Shut up.
Exactly. So those ones can certainly be really rough. I don't think most of us are playing the game right now with Iden where we're trying to prohibit a Wampa counter and need to stack potency with it. I don't think that's the case. I think in most of these, like, if you've got a doubt cron and you hit hard enough, you're probably going to take out Wampa.
Yeah.
So there aren't really other things
in five.
You're right. And so, there's not as much that I've been focused on, but I haven't gone back and done this, but there have been moments, I don't know if you guys have had these, where I've been tempted to say geez, maybe I re-roll set 12 for a few special accuracy or something else to be able to count. Because I just didn't re-roll stats for set 12. I just didn't like the which I know is amazing because normally I go hog wild on rerolls, but I really didn't in set 12, except for a few that, like either the guild wanted or whatever. And so I left things where they fell, and I had like one 35% special accuracy in set 12. And to my shock, like it was relevant at certain points. So I've thought about like, gosh, should I go back and do that? I haven't done that. So I don't know, like, this is not one where I've really formulated some master secret plan I was going to roll out this week at all. But I'm curious for you guys, like TJ, you've been looking through this lens and finding interesting angles. Is there anything you're doing on the DC front?
I think I'll give this much away because obviously we all know we're all sweaty, dude. Let's be all. If you're listening to this, you're sweaty. I'm sweaty. I'm sweating right now just talking about the fights.
That has more to do with where you live than anything else.
Right. Yes, and it's that's pretty fair. Yeah. So what I'm looking for, honestly, is more deflection on the deflection teams. If you're going to take special teams, that's the TLDR. But I have to just take the point of what you said about the tenacity. I think these teams that distribute, like the CLS teams, right? People wouldn't pay attention to it, but if that's distributing and you put it high enough and you try to do something, you're screwed and you're going to get looped. That's the biggest factor. If I can make you miss and that one miss gets me the win, that's what I'm going for. So my obviously the TLDR is going to be deflection, of course, but don't avoid like crit avoidance, right?
Now you don't have to give away the whole farm though.
You don't need to, but that's
well. Hold on, let me finish. Let me finish my question. Yeah. You don't have to give the farm about which teams, but if you're talking about specific stats, you got a quantity that you guys are going for. So you're talking about the deflection stack for Ray.
80.
How many deflection stacks are we talking? How many crit avoid stacks we talking? How many tenacity stacks are we talking?
Well, 40% is generally enough to make EPMJ like not consistent.
So 34. 34% is the exact one that Anna will tell you. It's 34. that is the moneymaker. Sorry,
sure.
I didn't want to dig the knife.
I'm just saying that I personally don't try anything over 20. Maybe 25 if I have like a relic or mod advantage or something. But anything over 40 is probably a no-go. So I mean, I'm not saying you shouldn't have more on your Ray, right? I'm not trying to say that. I'm just saying that I don't know how much more you need. Whereas
what would be nice? If you want to think, and I'll give you one that would work, right? You don't have to get, I'm not trying to min-max, right? If you can min-max, that's great. But hey, if you can get like almost all of the levels to be a deflection one, I think that's going to be good enough. Those numbers are going to come through. It doesn't have to be crazy. You don't have to try to get them all maxed out.
Oh my God, yeah. I mean, even getting them all to be deflection is an unsightly task.
I'm not saying re-roll a million times. I'm saying just try if you can and get it something like that.
One of the things I've been looking for, and I'm one of those people, Sasha, where I don't want to say PTSD because I've been on record saying that I am far less like bothered by dodge than other people. Not saying I'm not.
Don't talk
bothered,
about the D word, dude.
I'm just saying there are people who threaten to quit every time that it comes back, right? And I'm not that negative on it. I think it's annoying. I don't think it's a fun mechanic, but it's whatever. So I'm just going to say that as a preface. But I'm one of those people whenever they put accuracy on crons, I make sure that I have a handful that are like 15 to 20%, not necessarily because there could be dodge, because there's already evasion masteries, right? And there's already things like that baked into this game with stacking evasion masteries to where special accuracy is something I already take, and physical accuracy is something I take into account when it's like crit avoidance, right? I don't go out of my way to make big crons of them, right? But I don't necessarily go out of my way to re-roll off. Like, for example, if my 7 and 8 are both special, either crit avoidance, special accuracy, or physical accuracy, I probably won't re-roll them because those are usually high enough numbers to where I can use them somewhere for something. So to Sasha's point, I don't think I'm going to go back and re-roll, but I'm also one of those people that didn't roll off of those stats just for utility reasons. But crit damage is the stat I'm targeting from this one. I'm not saying I'm going to reroll a ton, but I'm going to definitely prioritize the level 3s and crit damage this conquest. Because I noticed that things need to die really fast, and this prod up thing is really annoying.
Yes.
And doubt is really annoying. So your characters need to do more damage per turn they take.
I definitely think that's my dump, right? Like you're going for specific stats like the deflection, maybe I'm for certain characters, the crit avoidance. or the tenacity. But like, if you had to be satisfied with the default stat dump, that would be the one I'd take is crit damage.
I don't think that's a wrong answer,
Yeah.
but that's why I say that, right? It's like it's just getting the ideas of things like that, because I think, as with modding, I think the stats and the things that would come with the datacrons are just as big now, and I think that's a part of the game or the gamble. And if I do one thing to you one week and then I decide, well, I've got this other cron, let's try this, and that changes how you have to play the game. Just not watching or paying attention to that stat, it can change the tide of the war.
Yeah.
Well, so I mean, for my part, you guys know I just on principle don't go too hard on datacrons. I'll make the sacrifice required for specific crons that end up proving so meta defining. So I have to improve my best deflection cron, which I think is something about 24%, something like that. So I'll be looking to do that, but my thing's just been a strategic shift, right? I've just been taking teams that mechanically will overwhelm whatever it is that I'm worried about, that I'd be looking to have special accuracy for. Like I'm definitely not doing what you're mulling over, Sasha. Going back over some is set 12 worth a little bit of tweaking to try and pick up a little special accuracy? Not for me. I won't be doing that.
Fair. You passed the sanity test. That's good.
Well, I mean, I think this next whatever this next Datacron set is probably going to be bonkers, right? Like these have
Separatist.
it's going to be like, yeah, I mean everything about it's going to be awesome, kind of set 11 was, right? Like there was no losing with set 11.
I fully expect this to be a revisit of Bulk or Ufu. Like I expect the next set to be one of the top 5 strongest sets we've seen out of Datacrons in the lifetime of this.
So you guys do think that they will go back to sort of higher levels of those stats, because they clearly ratcheted down the last couple.
Well,
do you think
they're going to
go
go back to more impactful stats, right? More interesting.
Yeah.
This has felt very safe, and this is kind of cool, right? Like because we've definitely, and this is pretty common in a lot of different games. It's very easy for developers to push out a really aggressive edge, right? To see just how far you can make these things go, to and have them be reasonable, have them be effective, yada yada. As opposed to this set feels like how little can you add here and then just drastically shift things. So like very impactful 3-6-9s, and the stats are really kind of off to the side, with notable exceptions that we're covering here. But it feels like it's kind of like one of those bounce back things, right? Like we're on that downswing of, okay, let's tone these down just a little bit, and boom. Just in time for all this separatist Galactic Republic stuff like that. All right. Sorry, go ahead.
Do you want to transition into the road ahead or Bane?
Well, I mean, I guess Bane's pretty natural because it fits with our talk about, our preparations. I mean, I know I talked with you guys individually at least, probably months ago now when Bane's kit first came out, to get your thoughts on how to mod it. As far as I know, my preparations as of now has just been a speed health set. Health primaries on triangle, cross, circle. I can pivot to whatever it ends up being if there's a reason to go with crit damage on triangle, for example. I'm also preparing a very fast health primary arrow and a very healthy speed arrow, just in case there ends up being some type of break point going either way.
Well, I will say this. I think looking at his speed and looking at his kit, I think speed's going to be shit. I don't think you want speed on him, because the difference between a speed set and a health set is going to be, if the mods are equal, you're losing 30% max health for 14 speed.
That
is
I don't know. Sheer size, then. Sheer health.
His base speed's 140 something, right? He's super slow as a character. So, like, a speed set is 10% of that. So you can have 14 extra speed, or you can have 30% extra health. Now, I don't know off the hand if the extra 5 to 10 speed, 15 speed is going to matter. But I plan to do 3x health sets with a speed air.
Okay, interesting. But
But
so
yeah,
so
I'm
by
just,
by your own reasoning though, if you have something like I don't know 28, 29, speed health primary arrow, you would opt for that if you had it to spare. Then would you not?
I'd put it on Leia before I put it on him, but sure.
Okay, sure, yeah. If you had it to spare, yeah.
I would put it on C or Leia, right? Like, I'm not. Yeah. To answer your question,
Okay.
if I had a third 28 speed health arrow, yes.
Sure, yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
don't. I
Okay.
don't even have one. I'm just saying in general to humor the conversation. Yes.
What about the rest of you guys? What are you cooking up for Bane? Or is you decide for yourself where the secret sauce begins. But I mean, I don't think there's too many different ways to go unless I mean, if you're cooking back there, that's fine. You don't have to
I
let
can
us in
go
the
quick, and
kitchen.
then I'll go first, and then hand it over to TJ because I suspect he's got more cooking than I do. Mine's not even half baked. So I do lean towards the survivability and was looking at probably all health. I haven't thought really thoroughly through applications of Bane, other than that it just it's going to feel. A part of me will struggle, like the either the inefficiency or the kind of wastefulness of not being able to use the rule of two unique on him, and not. And then that moves him over to offense because you're not going to be able to set him with just C or whatever on defense. And so if I'm using him on offense and I trust my ability to kind of control him effectively, I just want to make sure he doesn't go poop on me, and I want him as thick as possible. So that's my thinking at the moment. But again, probably somewhere shy of even half baked on that. TJ?
It's all right. So to answer the question, it's going to be the question of it really depends on how he looks when he has his Omicrons on, if you're doing all the Omicrons, and what it's going to look like. Because what does he really need is what we'll want to see, right? He's going to be a two-man god. Him and C are going to wreck the shit of everybody. And how much that impacts or what it does or what's the right number for that. Survivability seems like the biggest thing because they shouldn't care how fast everybody's going because everybody's just going to be dead anyway. It's just those two on a team doing the entire work of everybody, and good luck. So I think Daggers and yours and everybody else feels right for now.
So just
But
health.
I think
There's a
so.
consensus then about this straight up Vulcanite. And if you had the extra fast health arrow, you would, but otherwise you're still gonna rock
Yeah.
the healthy speed
I
arrow.
don't think it matters, right? They just based on the way the kit reads, I don't think it matters. They're not
Well,
gonna
I mean,
care.
to Dagger's point, if you got something like a 28 speed health arrow, you're giving up 4 speed to lean even further into that health multiplier. So I mean, it's an extreme ask. But that would be the right sets and right primaries on
Yeah.
paper. And if you didn't have exactly that arrow, a healthy speed arrow would be just fine. And I think
And don't get me
that's
wrong.
something
I'm
we're
not saying you
agreeing
don't
on.
want him fast. I'm
Yeah,
just
yeah.
saying the difference between a speed set and 3 health sets. Well, it's technically leaving 20% health on the table, but you're leaving a significant amount of health on the table for something
Yeah.
you're going to be incentivized to take to R8 because he's an attacker.
Yeah. All right.
He's probably
Well,
an R9 character if I had to guess.
Well, possibly. But yeah, I'm just saying, like,
Yeah.
my point is, like, he's an attacker, so I think R8 is the minimum
so
for at least for where we're at.
are we gonna lean a little more Sasha style with the secondary? So we're gonna be fast. We're gonna talk like again. We're talking ideally here. What's the like the goal spec to go for? Maybe not the bare minimum serviceable, but if you had to just name it on paper, we've got our sets, we've got our primaries. We'll say something like in the neighborhood 20
Plus
plus.
150 speed.
Okay, plus 150
290,
speed.
295.
So what does that end up being? Is that like 25s, 24s?
Yeah, it's like 25 to 26 to 27s.
Okay, and then for aside from speed, guys, you want to go like defense with that, or what
Health and
do you
offense,
think?
probably in that order.
Offense, you said.
I'm thinking
Yeah,
survivability, but
I'm
because
simply
the
thinking of a
reality is,
hedge. Sorry. No, go ahead.
yeah, we'll circle right back to that, of course, but just to kind of go back and forth. I mean, he kind of by definition, so you're running him with C spreading deceived all over. This guy is tanking everything, right? Like every hit is coming after him. So survivability, and then the nice thing about C is like if we can get something to stick around long enough for him, then he's going to be able to whittle anything down. So that like I'm talking completely in the abstract because I don't know what the hell the guy's actually going to feel like when we play him. But if the right modding for survivability was able to put us in a position where we just felt like, hey, my Bane's not going anywhere, C is the ideal companion for that, right? So that's kind of where that's what.
Yeah, that feels like
that's
my
fun.
default posture for him is
Well,
let's
also, hear me
assume
out-
that
hear me
he's
out.
mostly with C.
One
Yeah,
of
yeah,
the
yeah.
one of the really quick one of the things I was going to pivot into. I apologize, but if I may, I have been considering moving C into an offense set because of Bane, because that will allow him to
Interesting.
actually kill things faster. Because Bane gives him 75% max health, 75% max protection,
Yeah.
75% mastery, right? You get all these just stacked bonuses where I was considering, and the reason why I was going to say lean into some offense on Bane, because as Sasha said, he's going to be the tank on the team. So you want him to be mostly survivability. But a little bit of extra offense may help you to beat like two-manning Leia or something, right? Like I'm trying to see what C's ceiling is. I'm not saying I'm going to do this week 2 when I get him, but moving C into an offense, that is something I have considered. If he's going to be a two-man with Bane.
See, I feel like if we're diluting the impact of having health stack, that would make me want to go even more defensively. When I think of, like, I would want to stack defense. That's the kind of where my gut would go, because now correct me if I'm wrong here, because like what I'm thinking about is like when you're using him against, I don't know, JMK, like the jankiest matchups historically that you're taking, and you're relying on stuff like Beskar, like lean into defense and have the synergy when you know that you're going to be under siege. If you're going to have the Bane crutch for the health anyway, for the survivability.
I guess what I'm saying is at least recently.
Mm-hmm.
So let's go back and let's look at like remember when C you had like if you had a 25% health cron you could slap on C, you could solo JMKs or C watt JMKs in 5v5. Right towards the end of last when we had health on crons and defense, I was actually going back to like C armor set against Ray, like Ray Ben.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So like my point is that with a little help from crons, C has been able to do this without Bane.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So my thought process here is with Bane, because the sheer amount of survivability this pairing is going to have really makes me consider whether or not you just want them both in offense to a degree, right? Because
yes,
it's like
no, it's already hot on my list. You're talking about these huge multipliers. It's like, wow, huge health multiplier. I say, well, what relic level would impart the just absolute most amount of flat health into him?
Sure, but you get what I'm saying, though, right? It's like when you're in fights, I don't think this pair is going to die. Right? I just don't think they'll die.
And you think that the way to increase their effectiveness the most is it's for the same reason why we have offense on Starkiller, right? You don't rely purely on having a huge health stack to drop the ship.
And gas. Yeah.
And sure, and gas. Yeah. But I guess, in terms of that real ultimate feeling, like Starkiller comes to mind, and I mean that rings true for Starkiller, so I can see your point from that.
Yeah. And I'm not saying we're there yet. I'm just offering it up as a consideration for once we get our hands on it, like TJ said, and get the Omicrons on it and are able to test it.
Yeah, because I'm reading this.
I used C plus Bane in Sector 5 last Conquest, and I was two-manning like every single jacked up node.
So
like
I'm not going to
R8.
All right. So here's where I'm at. I'll make this simple.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I do want to gain some offense. I'm not going to say I think there's a number you're going to want to target because it's cool getting 30% offense boosted. That's cool. 75 health, 75% protection. I'm going to lean into that. 75%.
Okay, so you're not looking for either offense or defense. You're just going to go straight up into the survivability multiplier.
75%, I'm never going anywhere. You are never taking me down. And the fact that do I think it's wrong to say don't lean into any. If you don't lean into any offense, I think that's incorrect, right? Because his special damage and what he hits for, I think daggers onto it. But I think that's a definitive number. I think you could give it a number and say, that's cool, this is going to be good and do work. But 75% health and protection, that is nuts, dude, at having these two together.
Yeah.
I'll throw out a counterpoint to you guys though, just because of the nature of C, and this is fascinating stuff. What you guys are going through, because I can totally see the temptation for offense on C, but C is a character where if what we're starting to deal with is extreme survivability, there are, because of his kit, ways to ramp your damage way beyond what added offense would do. I'm pretty sure of this. What you end up doing is you just don't ult for like an extra 3 to 5 turns, and your mastery. So when C ults, he gets a double of his then current mastery, right? And his mastery keeps ramping. So if he can survive, like I've run into this where you've got like a super thick Ray on the other side, and you're like, oh, there's no way I'm going to get into a slap fight with that Ray, and there's no way I can take it out. If you're confident in your C survivability, like you guys were just talking about, like in the days of like thick crons plus armorer, and it's like that Ray just can't kill my C. Well, that's perfect. I would literally get to a point where like you'd have a super thick Ray, and you go for 3 minutes, not until 2 minutes is left in the match before you ult, and then you ult, and suddenly your C is doing basics for like 400k.
So my thought process is not about what C is currently beating. It's, I think C has the possibility of beating Leia. And
Got it. Mm-hmm.
And I think that there's a higher risk of timing out on those teams, even if you do what you said. So I'm not disagreeing with anything you just said, because we're discussing what we've currently used C for, and I'm trying to look ahead to what will C be able to do now.
Yeah.
That is such a hard call.
Yeah, no, he wants to. We all have our own things that we'll go take a gamble on going into a new season, and this is going to be his.
Yeah, week three, I plan to have both of them in offense.
That's awesome.
Ready.
Yeah, I think it's a cool thing to see with the Java
with this boost cron.
Wow, you're going to have them both transition to offense set by the end of this 5 season?
No. By week 3, because we're going to get in week 2.
Yeah.
By week 3, I'm going to try. I'm going to try this with them both in offense sets against Leia and Jabba. If I see them on defense, I'm going to go slug hunting with my C and Bane.
That's cool.
All right, I can see.
And
it.
I think you'll need offense to get through Chrysanthemum twice and Jabba.
Okay. Yeah. I'm all right. So there's at least a couple different paths that you can see on paper, guys. I mean, just the full health. And if you're inclined to try something new, try and push the envelope, maybe some more offense baked into it by whatever means your mods allow.
Yeah.
So that's a pretty fair thought. I guess this is a natural turning point to go into one of our other topics. We thought was just intuitive here would be meta changes from the last 5 versus 5, and now we're buttressed by a season here in 3s, getting to taste the impact of these new crons. So immediately, winners and losers that are coming to mind.
Zori and Gas, biggest losers.
Yeah, both of them been feeling like they've been on the backslide for what they can command out of your opponents. So that's fair.
Also, lay on defense.
Yeah,
I'm done. That's all I had. And lay on defense.
Oh, that's good. And lay on defense. Well, yeah, I mean, but we knew that was coming just because like these Rebel Fighter crons are a pale imitation of the previous outgoing Set 11 Rebel crons. So yeah, we felt that coming, I suppose. I'm sorry, Sasha, TJ, you guys are saying something?
Yeah, I'll just add one, and it's one I think we can all kind of feel coming too. Maybe it was a little unexpected. Definitely unexpected when the Boke Cron first rolled out. But I think a winner is LV on defense. And I say that because, everybody's an ass and has rolled out BKM on defense, and it's terrorizing the game a bit.
Yes.
Although, 2/3 of the time it works 100% to use Treya. But it's got its inherent risks, right? And so all of a sudden, LV has its natural hardcore predator off the playing field on offense, combined with an Empire Datacron set that has that level 3 I mean, there is no squad that benefits more, I would argue, on that level 3 doubt cron than an LV squad, because you don't, for each of those doubts to be triggered, it's not like, oh, you've already whittled away, you know, the majority of the total HP and all that protection, and now you're just down to these slivers, and maybe you'll bust all the way through those thresholds in one shot. No, it's hit total HP because there is nothing but health on him. And then if you lose the ability to get buffs, the ability to gain turn meter, there's so many LV counters that are impaired by that. And then you add in like the extra sort of punch that it's got from the various level 6. And it's interesting stuff. One thing that I threw out there, just in my own testing, I've never used this anywhere else, so I don't know if it'll be any good at all, but in Arena, I threw Stark with him because using the level 6. And every time Stark goes, I put extra speed on Stark just to see what this was like. And with the right level 6 cron, the one where if anytime an opposing character loses turn meter, Empire allies gain product stacking 10%. Well, every time Stark, as long as I think he's got his Zeta, every time Stark takes a turn, at the end of that turn, all opponents lose turn meter. And so you end up with an LV team that it's like the old Datacron set with the dots causing prod up. My LV squad had like between 10 to like 40 stacks of prod up on it, like all across the board. And it was super hard to take out.
Hideous,
I know it's beautiful. But you know, those, unless you dispel those prod ups, they are super hard to get through because they're based on much higher health stats. And so there's just this kind of interesting stuff. That's just throwing out a kooky thing. And again,
this is the return of like the Boba Fett counter against Lord Vaders like yours that are going with the props.
Boba would have had a day against the squad that I ran. Totally. he would have one shot my LV, but he wasn't on the field.
That's right. Yeah. That's right.
I called this out. I told you guys at the end of the season when we were talking about threes, I was calling out that my number one thing for doing work was LV. 27 battles in, you were doing this because everybody's putting it on defense, which is true. When you get rid of your bow, and then what was I having to use to kill LV? Leia. Because if you let LV live, because other things would start taking out the other characters, and that's fine. You leave a fast LV who's properly built with the deflection and all the stuff like that, he is hard as hell to kill. So I was having to overkill LV. And it's a true statement because you want to put the BKM and make him deal with it. So it's like all Sasha's saying is like, yeah, I was preaching that all last week and it was doing everything it was supposed to do. That was the number one killer for everybody on my defense was LV.
Do you guys feel that? Sorry, Dagger, go ahead.
I was like, thank God JML still does it. JML feels like, I'm not saying he's a loser, but the Crons have not been kind to him.
Yeah, but the product buys, I feel like it buys you enough time to come around to that, like, second Hoda third and stuff like that. Like, I feel like it actually does a pretty... I'm with you. It's doing a good job.
Yeah. It's a serviceable job, and if your JML is going to beat Lord Vader for 62, that's good enough for me. So, you know, we're talking about Lord Vader being a menace, and I'm not disagreeing with anybody that he is. I'm just saying, like, at least we have... I'm not going to call JML a cheap counter, right? But... we have a counter that is probably otherwise not purposed for a higher calling.
Mm-hmm.
So at least
I will say I had people failing with JML, but that's again threes. Threes. I had to preface that it's not to take it away, but what it would require for you to make sure it succeeds JML versus the LV is going to be like your Malgus killer. It's going to actually be a team. You don't get to just take garbage Jedi and say this works. That's not going to happen.
Do we think this is the last, just to pivot off of that, do we think this is like one of the, do we think this 5v5 is the coming out party for the Sith Empire on offense, just like this 3v3 was?
I 100% agree with you. I don't know about the Malgus because it might come back like we just talked about because you have to use the stuff for LV. But when you said it, I was already doing this in threes, just like we talked about that with LV. I had already taken Darth Revan off. It's just I couldn't put the pieces together for a good Darth Revan team. But Darth Revan can underman stuff, and in 5, he would still be able to do some good work. His kit still does good things, and Doubt is still a monster.
I feel like Malgus DR, combined with this Doubtcron, might be dangerous for your preferred Jedi Cal counter, whatever it might be. I wonder about that.
I'm going to ask you something you said one time, Dagger, that you did, and when you brought it up on one of the things you were afraid on, is C on the menu as being a viable defense with this doubt in fives?
I don't think. I'm not saying it's a hard no. I will just say that I think in this meta, it will be hard to place a team that is so efficient at just massacring anything that is not a GL.
I just know what you told when you said you were the one who called it out. You faced it like you thought you could take Afra, and it got stopped, like hard stopped. I just don't. I know C was, but it's like, does that work here now?
Yeah, and I'm saying it might, but I think Afra getting more pieces makes it more consistent because that's more turns she's taking, right? The reason why I lost is because I got BT1 feared, right? So it's like, I guess what I'm saying is, I think that there is a case for putting C on defense. I just think you have to have your shit really, really dialed in on offense, because his flexibility on offense, because like I was saying, he beats everything basically except for like Leia and Jabba.
Mm-hmm.
Like he beats everything. Like why would it's hard? You'd be hard pressed to convince me to set that on defense to get Slacker soloed or possibly Afrid for max banners if I can use it to beat anything my opponent says.
I'm just interested to see, Big, because you saying
I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm saying it can be good. I'm just saying like Slacker and C are two of those GLs where, man, you got to convince me to set them on defense. It's got to be such a compelling case for me to give up such a potent offensive weapon.
But you also said the same thing. This is you saying it. It's the time to set all your GLs and let him deal with it. No,
well,
in fives.
And I said, yeah, you said 5 or 6, but I said that the ones you're saving are Leia, C, and Slacker. Those are the ones you're saving.
That's why I want to know, though. Is it the time that we get to set them all and let you deal with it, and then we have our off metas that are just going to work?
Yeah, I think it's going to be hard to set C and then still have a Traya and a Malgus team. I just don't think we have enough Sith. Or let me phrase it, an effective version of all those teams.
Oh, that's fair.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of bait walls week 1. A lot of bait walls and then cheese in the back, right? It's like, it's suggestive that there's really not many, if any, GLs that you could see up front. How many in the back? Surprise, it's none. Aren't we all so smart?
Well, at least in 3v3, it's a maximum of 3. That shit's way more terrifying in 5. In 3 is going to be 5 of them.
Yeah.
At least you know what the max number of GLs is in the back is.
Sorry? Say again?
At least in 5s, the max number of GLs is something that's tenable.
It's definitive, man. You got a max of 3, so the worst they can do is set that. So it's
as long as you save like JMK and Leia, like you can cobble together something for the other one probably.
Mm-hmm.
But to your point, yeah, I expect to see a lot of front walls that look something like Tuscan's gas,
Yeah.
I expect to see Saw and DTMG, right? I expect to see that be the front wall of my first couple opponents, where it's like, what do you think's in the back, bud? What you gonna do up front?
That's true. That's true. Let's see what else we got here on the list, guys. I did actually have a request for something to cover here about bugs that we're aware of going into this season. I wanted to highlight a couple. Just I don't know that you can really plan around it, but you shouldn't be surprised by it if you can help it. There's a bug with Malevolence right now where if you have summoned vultures on the field and you kill the last
damn thing happened to
summoned ship, if you kill the last not summoned ship, it's possible that Malevolence can get an extra turn. And what I've seen happen, at least in mine and others' cases so far, it's also when they have the AoE cooldown for Malevolence.
Yeah.
So they do that AoE, they chip off a couple banners, and then all of the summoned vultures despawn in the fight in. So it's like Mal just gets an extra bonus free.
Exactly what happened to me. Yep.
That explains where my JKA went.
Yeah. I got a 70 because of it. That's what you said is exactly what took place. They got to go. It got one turn, and then the AoE went. It stole it from 71 to a 70.
Like 2 banners, something like that. Yeah.
I was
steaming.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like,
there's
dude, how
also
you eject that?
also Keller and Beck. If you shock him or put locked healing immunity on him, and you proc a savior, you're just gonna time out on him because he apparently can't die if you do that.
So
Sorry, it's with KB. What happens, Dagger?
So basically, if you ever put healing immunity on him, he flips it to tenacity up. But if you put like shock or locked healing immunity, apparently, if you proc his savior with one of those buffs on him, debuffs on him, he just becomes unkillable because the game doesn't register that.
okay, so
savior
that's
has
what
it.
the bug is. We've heard about the
Okay.
And I don't
unkillable
know for
coloring,
sure.
but I haven't heard about what all the
Yeah.
preconditions are.
I don't know for sure, but that's what I've heard from a couple of people from just chatting about what happened. And the common denominator between the three people I talked to seems to be some kind of healing immunity being on him when you proc save.
Yeah, something that
I don't
prevents
know if that's
healing.
actually
So
the
either
case.
healing immunity or shock.
But that's because he's immune to heal immunity essentially because he flips it.
Yeah. Interesting. Okay. Another one I wanted to highlight. I saw this. I think Stryker, one of my patrons, sent the a video here of this clip of Fatal. He was cleaning up a solo DTMG, right? So he brought, it doesn't matter what he brought in. It was a Padme team, and the short story is he killed DTMG, and in the end, the lone summoned Dark Trooper was able to finish him off. But this is where the bug comes in. This is the heinous part. The fight resolved. He killed DTMG, right?
Oh no!
But the Dark Trooper was alive. He got one banner. He exited the fighting screen. Right now, you're back looking at the board.
Yeah.
The zone, the squad is now cleared, and he cleared not only that fight, that last fight,
But
the zone, and got none of
For
those
the record,
banners.
that's also not new because I saw this happen to I forget who it was. Might have been Blade Baca back in the day, but the Mon Mothma summon counterattacked someone. They both and killed them, and then it escaped.
But that one will escape. See, the game considers DTMG. It's like, nah, you're summoned, but you're a real boy.
No. What I'm saying is the point I'm trying to make is the summon killed the last person you had alive.
Yeah.
So they won.
But
Yeah,
that summon himself in this case that you're mentioning could not himself have been the last character alive as DTMG was.
I understand. The
Well,
point
like he could be with Mon Mothma, right?
Yes. That's what I'm saying. Like,
Yeah.
If the point I'm trying to make is I seem to remember this also being a bug with other summons.
So yeah, we're in a nasty
I guess the good
spot.
thing is it's the only thing that's bugged or wrong with this game. They've got everything else straightened out. Like all of Kyber 1 is smooth, and so like I'm sure this is just a little nit that they can fix right away.
Yeah. No, by the way, I lost a match.
Anything else on their list of things to fix regarding Jack or TW?
Yeah. I lost a match the other day. I lost round 3 because of a soft lock. So that still happens.
That works. That happens every single time, and it's in Fleet.
Also, playing on BlueStacks is a bug.
That's the best part. That was on the phone. I played on the phone. I deliberately tried to avoid the locks and the crashes and the freezes, and then it's like, nope.
If you're doing this, I'll just let you know in the mirrors. So everybody knows. If you, I'm not sure if you know, with the Levi mirror in Fleet, and this happens every time without fail. If you try, it'll happen. There's a specific set of sequences that will make you lose your buttons. It has happened to me every single time without fail. So what happens is if you're doing the fight and you've gotten to the point where Revan gets to take over the ship, and you have not done the second special, right? So it's the killing the reinforcement or whatever. If you try to hit auto or do anything else like that, and you haven't already done that thing, it will lock out your game. It will take away your buttons. It does it every single time, and you basically have to exit the fight, and it doesn't count without fail because there's no reinforcement for it to kill. The system, for whatever reason, it just locks up on you. I have. So if you're doing that and you've won, just either don't click that button, just keep going in with the basic or whatever it is, or don't put it on auto because the system will try to do it and you're screwed. That will happen in GAC. Will happen in Arena. Happens.
I have had this happen to me in Fleet Arena, in fact. So
And
I know you
does it.
speak true.
Yeah, it does it every single time. I don't know if there's a bug out there for it, so it's like, nope, not putting on auto. Even though you've won the game, nope, just keep that shit manual. So I just want to let everybody know because it pissed me off because I wasted so many things, and it's like it's easy. Anybody can replicate it.
Yeah.
Any other bugs, guys? Anything else that comes to mind? Nope. Hearing a resounding nope.
Well, I'm sure there are. We just don't know them. We just don't know what they are.
No, yeah. We'll all get to experience and discover
this is a
glorious
good time.
new
This is a
things.
good time. This is a good time to just say that CG has a Trello board, and you can go see what they're planning to fix, if anything.
What they're going to do is they're going to make sure if you guys are guildmates, they can give each other packs. This is a new feature coming. It is highly anticipated, and everybody should be ready for that. I do, of course, accept crystals as packs. So if you want to shoot them my way.
They don't need to fix the product. You just need to keep paying pay pigs. Thank you.
That's right.
Yeah. They were able to parse through all the noise of our complaints here and get to the real issue.
That was definitely highly sought after. I was
That
so
might
excited.
be the single bitterest thing I've ever heard Sasha say.
I love Salty Sasha. Sasha.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, it really is. I have to say, though, I mean, and we've all beat this drum now for a while. It really is so hideous that this Erodium's getting bugged to the top of Kyber is not only still happening, but still not like... I know Dagger said they made some obscure post somewhere saying, you know, we're looking into it. It's like, but you don't even have like a time... Like, that wasn't even like an official announcement or anything, right?
Because they're not looking into it.
Well,
They're
it's
hoping
like they're
this
probably.
stuff
I mean, they may well not be, but if they are, they're not even giving you an inkling of like, yeah, we understand what this is doing. You know, this is our timetable to to do anything, just any kind of anything aside from we heard about that. We heard about that. Yeah.
Yeah, they at least Meathead. Meathead, Tuscan. What I'm blanking on his name at this point because like he has so many nicknames across a bunch of servers. But anyways, our current community manager on the event server has acknowledged that CG is aware of the problem. So there you go.
So
I guess that's
what I
as
just
good
want
as
to
it
do is
gets.
acknowledge the fact that you said that, but not give a fuck all at the same time.
And
Feels
it's
good.
I mean.
Yeah. And that actually segues us into the road ahead really well if we want to like.
Yeah, I mean that's a great one. That's a meat and potatoes one that we've been working towards, so we can get into it. I'll try and pull it up here.
Yeah. Cliff notes: buy 6 marquees, do good in raid. Okay, thanks. Give us money.
All right, so here's what I'm gonna say. I'm gonna defend it. One, I am gonna have fun looking at what they're gonna do, right? And I know you're pulling it up to ask to do it.
Yeah.
If the good thing that we know, I don't care. All of the other stuff that goes on like that, this game is built around kits. That's what makes this game fun. A new character comes in, and one thing CG does, in my opinion, very well are kits. The interactions that they put in the game are unique and fun and do awesome things. Granted, well, even when they don't work, sometimes they're really fun, right? We've had some sums that like, this doesn't work as intended. Man, this is so much fun. Darth Vader being able to solo a GL, and it's like, dude, they do really good jobs with kits, and that's what makes the game, right? It's not new game modes, it's these characters. So I am super excited to see what the kits do. Having Jar Jar in the game, sure. I know some want it more. I know your boss Tass, and hey, you get to have what you want. But at the same time, I think they're going to be super fun, man. And that's what I'm most excited about and then we're going to get a DC that's going to make them superhuman. And
yes,
like Jar Jar's just going to fly up into the sky as the grace that is God and don the cape and become a Sith and
no, it's Bruce Lee, Boss Nass. 1v all.
But that's what I'm saying, right? That's what I'm excited about because they're bringing something new out. Look what they did for Tuskens. Tuskens are fucking awesome, right? They are so good.
It's true.
No, Tuskens are still really good, man. They amped it. So
they have a really good Datacron and a really good 3v3.
Yeah, well, that's what he's referring to is talking about that whole kit and caboodle with a cron and all that. Like, he's talking about that they're going to be saucy.
But that's what I'm saying. They've gotten better. the kids to continue to get better, to do interesting things, I think it's going to be fun, man. And them saying that Jar Jar is going to disrupt, I want to know what that means because I think that's going to be cool as hell.
So let me start covering here what I got on screen. I'll read it out to you guys since I know you're probably not like staring at this in tiny format. But yeah, so the bonus zone's the new thing. So we don't have full details on the new bonus zone. We are working on one and learning our inspiration from Rebels. So I guess that's not too much to comment on. Yeah, you're gonna need BKM, DTMG. Sabine will be
get
around.
a new TV planet. Yay!
Yeah, I guess there's not a lot to say. It's like, okay, good that you're making specific use of our new
really
toys.
Needed is more shit to do in TV.
It's different shit, right? It's going to be a different planet, not like an additional planet you have to do, just a different planet you got to do.
Right. It's basically like what they with Cal. It's Jedi Cal, if I understand it right. It's like
I didn't need that extra planet either, just to be clear.
Well, yeah, but I mean that was bonus planet's going to be there, so you need to just strap in because that's
I know.
Yeah. All right, Phantom Menace Episode 1, Battle for Naboo raid. Okay, who's ready for the next raid?
So, not me.
Yeah.
Not it.
Yeah.
It can't be worse than our current one.
It really can't.
I guess I'm looking forward to it.
You know what I gotta say though about the current raid, about the speeder bike, is that even though it is just an absolute eyesore, and I really just have to focus on staring at the corner where the buttons are and just looking at that only to be able to, just get through. It is quick. Boy, is it quick.
Oh, yeah.
Boy, do you just get to belt it out in like an hour and you've got everything done for the next 3-4 days,
not to be
whatever.
A dick to our guildmates, not to be a dick to our guildmates, but I'm going to be the third guy to say this. There's no fucking reason you can't get it done. I'm sorry. Dude, on auto, hold on. I'm going to back Dagger. Yeah. On auto, Dagger gets 14.
No
so I'm
names
saying
now.
this. I'm not digging the knife, but I'm going to call it what it is. If taking off auto, I can literally have my stuff printed out. Like I look at it, go take a photo real quick of it, and I get 18 million. I have the shit set up. Yeah. I don't change mods. The one thing I didn't like with the first one, you had to change mods. I changed Leia's mods only to get her 2.7 to make sure. I literally changed nothing else. I get 18 million every single time. And it's about 20 minutes.
I really liked the Crate Dragon raid. It was interesting. There were meaningful
but you had to remod, right?
To where you had but I'm not worried about the remodding. I'm worried about the actual game. I care more about the experience of playing the raid. Is it fun? And the Crate Dragon raid was, except for the Old Republic run, which was infuriating for me. I don't know if it was for everybody else. The other four were fun. Like, yeah, you remodded for the Mandos, but then you got to do your, I don't know. This one just, first of all, I get migraines fucking playing the raid, so I'm not trying to pretend like I do anything besides auto it. But yeah, like it just doesn't feel fun to do this.
I'm sorry, man.
It doesn't feel like people are having fun.
I get people have fun with their things like that, but there's nothing you could tell me. It's like it gets new and interesting. It wears itself thin so fast, man.
Yeah, I'm with TJ. The Crate Dragon raid, I was glad to see it go. Yes, it does feel like there was more creativity. There was more.
I agree.
More. What it was in the end was more work. Is what it is. It was more work for the same rewards. So that's the saving grace of the speeder bike is that it is kind of this over and done with thing. But pivoting here to this new raid, so it says that we're going to be participating in the battle for Naboo against waves of battle droids with no end in sight. Will you be able to sustain all that firepower? Gear up your Gungans, who will give you your best chance of survival and maximum point potential. Also maximum profit potential.
Also, I do like that they're tying Gungans to the raid because it means that they're likely going to be somewhere adjacent to Tuskens in power level.
Yeah,
they'll be good, but
the
not
question
insane.
Is, and the one thing it doesn't talk about. So what is
legendary Tuskens?
What is the galactic legend that's going to go with the new Boo?
Well, we know that is it not in here that he's going to be a legendary character, Jar Jar?
No, he is. I'm asking you.
No, they're not. They never said that they're going to tie all their raids to galactic legend.
All I'm saying, and they've done it now, and they've shown it. It's coming up, right? We had Jabba that tied to Crate.
Yeah, and this is going to be. It's Queen Amidala and Jar Jar that are tied to this raid.
But that doesn't. All I'm telling you is, and I wouldn't say it's not possible that we get a GL that's going to be related to Naboo.
I don't think we will get one simply because they would have announced it, which means we're going to get it somewhere between July. We're going to get this raid at the end of June, beginning of July. And I don't think they're going to release a GL for the raid 3 months after the raid has started.
I don't know. I don't know what lends you towards that suspicion, TJ. I don't know that it's going to be the case of the GL related to it. I think it's going to be one of those bet you didn't see this coming for like the next GL. That's kind of what my feeling is for the next one. I mean,
it's an easy for them if they can find the right character. It's an easy win for them.
But you have to remember that they would have announced it in this road ahead if it was coming out with the raid.
I don't think so. I think timing wise, there's no reason for them to have to do it because they've covered.
Okay. We're getting 6 marquees, 4 of them for Jar Jar, 2 of them for Padme, or for Queen Amidala.
And that's an easy line, but that's an easy road to say these are required for such and such GL. You're saying it yourself.
I don't see where you are coming to this conclusion.
It seems like it's a suspicion. I'm not saying
I have any. I'm just looking at them, and it's for them to do this, right? If you get these ones, they're a part of this requirement for this GL, and the GL ties into the raid. It's an easy way to say.
Yeah, I see it.
That's all I'm saying.
I think those 2 marquees that we're talking about have more to do with the fleet coming out this summer than any GL.
God, I'm so looking forward to it.
We can speak to that too.
We get Galactic Republic or Separatist Galactic Legend ship this summer, is my guess.
I said the same thing. So here's the same thing I said.
Just give us a Galactic Republic one. Trench can go eat a dick somewhere. Fuck you.
I think it's going to be Trench as well. As well. But the other thing I would say,
it can't be Trench until we get 2 more crewless ships. At least 3 more ships for.
We'll see. But I just want to call out. I do think it's Trench. Just Alpha Point. It's an Admiral. It's an easy fix for them. They just come out and here get these ships. The other thing I want to say is
it's overwhelmingly unlikely we get a 3rd out of 4 dark side GL ships.
I think that's I'm going to counter with that point, and I think it's fair for you to say it, but it's also not unheard of that they won't go back to back to back.
It is it's unheard of to go 3 for 4.
But all right, so the other thing I want to say is if we're talking about the other character and the one that I don't see why to me is like the easiest like TLDR is Apprentice Kenobi. How the hell?
French wasn't even in the Phantom Menace.
But he's a separatist, and that's where the big thing was when you're fighting.
Yes, but they are pretty specific that this is Phantom Menace themed. I mean, we're talking what we're branching out here, right? What we're actually setting up here is talking about like what they've got arranged here that's going to be focused towards the new raid, and then what's going to be the right things to sell alongside that are unrelated to those kits. That's exactly what you're going to try and do from a revenue maximization point, right? You've got these new Gungans, you've got them tied to the raid, your incentives are in line just from that. So you don't need to further invest in that if you're CG.
Sorry,
you know what's gonna happen, man. Like, come on, man.
Daggers thing. Keep it brief.
Keep it brief, yeah. No hope. No hope.
No
hope.
my thought was if we were having a guest, this was something we could keep brief.
But, yeah. I mean, we've got plenty of time.
I was basically highlighting it as the item we could axe if we were low on time. All right,
sure.
That's basically what I put there.
Yeah.
But you can make fun of look, and here's the thing, TJ. If you want to put together the outline for this, can put together.
I just thought you can keep it brief, dude. There's zero shit that's kept brief in any of our conversations. Oh, we're gonna keep it brief, 57 minutes in, and we're still having a high debate on it. It's like my apologies for the point. No, your thing was perfect. I just laughed at keep it brief. That shit will never flow.
So I think we beat to death our expectations or lack thereof about the new raid. We'll see. We'll see what happens. But I did want to just move into highlighting about the Gungans here. So Gungans rarely left their home planet of Naboo.
Mr. Not excited, betcha.
Yeah, you know what? Okay, you know what? That's fine. You know what? I'm not even.
I'll get them.
I argued this out with you the other day. Even amongst... It's okay that you don't like Jar Jar, because Gungans didn't like Jar Jar. They banished him twice. They did not like Jar Jar. So he is now representative of Gungans, and I am here to stand on the good name of the Gungan people and recognize that he is a slander. He is just a slander. His existence is a slander to their people. But, the Gungans are actually pretty cool. We got so look here. We got Boss Nass, Captain Tarples. That's the one I forgot. Gungan Boomadir. So that's your generic unit coming. Gungan Phalanx, a second generic-ish unit, and then Legendary Jar Jar, which really, compared to Boss Nass as a choice, I do find offensive. But those are my initial thoughts on the Gungan
Again, for
faction.
additional context, Tass's name on his server is Bombad Bossman, and the mods are Bombad General.
I've been a long-time fan.
This gentleman's heart.
Long-time fan of Gungans. Gungans don't get the love they're due.
Really quick, my multi-tiered thing on this is not, I don't hate Gungans. I look at Gungans the same way I looked at Tuskens, where I almost tore a muscle in my face, eye rolling, that this is going to be a meta faction. Now, I don't have a problem with them existing. It's just like, this thing's going to beat GLs, and that's going to annoy me just for the simple fact that Gungans are going to beat
That's the Datacron, though.
I know. And then, like, don't get me wrong. I also am not a big fan of just getting 6 marquees dumped on me.
And well,
And
here's where I'm gonna go with Dagger on this, though, right? Because it's not that; it's that they force them down your throat. Here's your galactic legend, or here's your galactic requirement for this week, and it's all Gungans. Hey, and then we have a conquest that is galactic. It's Gungan focused. So where Dagger's right is Tass being happy about having Boss Nass come in the game. I think is awesome. I think Star Wars people should get Star Wars characters.
It's not for me.
Great. Right. But Dagger having to be force fed and pushed down his throat to say, "Go do this, or you don't get the rewards." Well, it's like, well, bitch.
Because I won't have.
Fine,
Because I won't have
do
Gungans,
it, but
right?
I'm not. It puts a bad taste.
free to
when
play
they
him.
do that, right? But that's what I'm saying. It gives a bad sentiment to force it like that. When it's like, I'll play with them when I have to, and it's cool you're doing it, but don't force me to do it.
Especially when they straight up tell you that this is the marquee, no pun intended, raid team. So you're gonna have to I'm gonna have to ship and farm them and go out of my way to acquire them in a reasonable time frame, just like Tuskens, to make sure that I have them semi-competent for when the raid comes out. And I'm gonna struggle in Conquest and these galactic challenges, not having them. It's one of those things where it's the same with the Inquisitors, right? It's gonna be Gungan fatigue really, really quick. And I'm just dreading the Gungan fatigue already.
I do think somebody called it out, and I think it's a good call too. That was like, when do they become effective, right? So we look at the Inquisitor faction as it got built up, and it was and it continued and then GI came out, and it was like, it's all right, and then Riva, which was on a planet,
really.
So I have concerns about that. No, but it's true though, right? So I have an added
thing. I'm with Tass. I'm surprised Boss Nass is here. I would have expected 3 generic units or another additional unit, and then we get Boss Nass as the Riva from the TV.
Sure.
Right. I can see the Riva. I can see that concept. Yeah, that's a good one.
That was my initial thought when we were talking about Tuskens. I know Tass and I have talked about Tuskens in the past, about how Jar Jar is probably going to be a legendary because CG, Star Wars, etc.
Mm-hmm.
And if that's the case, Boss Nass should be like an epic confrontation or an unlockable character once you have Jar Jar.
Yeah, I mean, I'd rather have Boss Nass before I have Jar Jar, though, which seems like that's going to be, I'm going to get my wish, so I'm okay with that. I could live with that, yeah.
I go ahead, do I know there's other pieces I do want to talk about her, just because.
Hold on. We've been just steamrolling Sasha, so let's give him a few minutes uninterrupted.
I've been listening to you guys, keeping it brief. It's awesome. You guys are awesome. I'm having so much fun with this.
We're doing good. We're doing good.
No, and it's cool stuff. I'm excited for it. I also I'll go back to something that TJ said. I think these guys just do really well. I share a lot of Dagger's frustrations, but CG tends to do kits very creatively and very well. And I also really enjoy the thematic aspect of a lot of what they do. So I'm kind of excited to see how, certainly the Gungans generally as a faction, but primarily Jar Jar, and that sense of disruption or chaos or whatever. There's a ton of stuff that they bring into the game that is so thematically appropriate for how we experience the stuff in Star Wars that I always give a tip of the hat to them for. There are some times that they do a little bit outside of that frame. There are aspects of Drogon that I think are really cool from an inclusion and representation perspective. I think was cool, but the fact that it's not a character that I have any affinity or familiarity with, Swordy, it's just totally made out of thin air. I feel that that's a cop out of the framework that I do respect a ton, where they're bringing thematically appropriate stuff. So I guess my long-winded way of just saying I think it's going to be really interesting to see, and I have high expectations for how these guys will bring a kind of chaotic, goofy character into a game that obviously, based on the time we all commit and resources commit, that we take seriously. I think it'll be pretty fun to see. So yeah, I'm excited for that.
Now about the Queen Amidala character. So this seems to be like the most interesting development as far as like a single character goes, right? Because we have a new
Super
mechanic.
excited for that. This,
Yeah,
by the way.
new mechanic
is
here
my
with
jam.
decoy. So let me read about this. The uniqueness of her kit happens while the decoy is active. Queen Amidala will gain a new status effect called Queen's Protection, and for how many stacks of QP Queen Amidala has, she gives double of its effects to other Galactic Republic allies. Once the decoy is defeated, the Queen gets to take a bonus turn, gains a gnarly locked buff, and inflicts an enemy with something nasty. When I'm thinking about her kit, like my initial inclination, what I'm thinking of is that she's kind of non-combatant, but when you're giving somebody a nasty buff, you feel like they're no, you're actually going to be slapping somebody. So at first I was thinking her kit was going to be some sort of blend of like Mon Mothma's, where she's kind of untargetable, and then Sorties, where she's buffing and preserving her team, something like that. But it looks like she's actually going to have a more active hand. Any thoughts you guys had on Queen Amidala?
Well, I remember telling Tass this the other day that both Rose Byrne and Keira Knightley died so that Natalie Portman may live and serve the sentence.
It's true. You did say that.
So I'm curious to see what visual model they go with for the decoy, if it's something generic or if they try to do something with the likeness of.
Well, isn't decoy just going to be a buff? I don't even know that it's going to be what you're envisioning.
I thought it was going to be a.
No, there'll be a character on that.
Oh,
I'd assume something represented there.
All right, I'm cool with it. I'm open to the possibility.
But this is right up my dude. I want Captain Panaka so bad. Like that was my favorite Pepsi can from 1999, man. He was in that Han Solo blaster stance on that can, man. Like this is my childhood right here.
Okay, I see you.
Right, like. I also think that like we could get like Bail Organa and like some other stuff like or something like that. Yeah,
please.
Don't get me wrong, the Gungans are somebody's cup of tea for sure, like Tass's. But like I'm all in for Queen Amidala, man. Like you give me the woman who groomed Anakin at 9 years old, right? You give me that woman.
Oh, I think everybody's ready. The heart is and the body are willing. Bring them in. But I think, right? It's like you give a slave Leia next, and we're complete, right? Life is good. But it's like, but I think the other thing too is like, what does it do with the GAC Omis and how's it going to work? Everything about it is super cool, man. Everything about what they're trying to do and to expand on Galactic Republic and it's like utilize your research. Like, man, I really want to know. And
get her kit like in 2 weeks.
And they do these characters, man. These conquest characters are just so knowing it's a conquest character, it's got to be something.
One.
Plus,
that's what combo of all of it.
You also know it's going to be good in TW too.
Mm-hmm.
Because for some reason the GAC ones are good in TW and the TW ones have been hit or miss in GAC.
Or they'll just give you or the one of the characters coming out is the TW character, right? And it's like there's the easy
or
pick.
has the Omi, exactly.
Yeah, that's what I mean, right? It's like, and now this seems even doubly bad because they've been doing that like crazy now with these double setups, which is fine.
My mind is swimming with the possibilities for the last 2 spots on that team.
Mm-hmm. I'll say this also overall. Galactic Republic and Separatist, I'm excited about getting a little bit of a tune-up because raising things like we talked about earlier with Stat for GG and raising the profile of these mostly kind of disused teams, right? Like if you're using something like GG, that's like a very specific counter on offense, a last-ditch desperation type of thing on defense. If you're cheesing something like that, to have the profile of these Galactic Republic teams, raised, and in the case of the Queen Amidala team, seems like a completely new team. I enjoy that alongside Gungans, but we recognize what that problem is, though, right? It's going to worsen our issue where we're going to
Yeah.
have, again, too many good teams and not enough board. Or too little
Yeah,
board.
we're already at 8 GLs. We're already at 8 GLs and like
Guys.
9 triple Omi characters.
Guys, you don't need
Yeah.
it. You need gift giving.
That's
Stop
right.
asking
Thank
stuff
you.
You, don't
You
need.
see it
That's
on
not what we
screen
asked
here.
for.
Thank you. You took the words right out of my mouth, TJ.
Right.
We
You
can't
guys are
do
so ridiculous.
We can't do our part improperly covering. As the proper journalists that we are. We can't cover this
keeping
road
it brief.
ahead without actually covering the guild gifting, because it turns out that fully 50% of the actual page space of this is text and screenshots, mostly having to do with that. So
Pictures pretty. Pictures
don't
pretty.
worry about the bugs we told you about earlier. Don't worry about the GAC ranking bug. Just buy stuff for friends. And
Sasha, fuck you. You're not a friend. You're not in the guild. Everybody else, you guys get it. Sasha's out.
That's right.
Wow.
That's
By
right.
That is
concept of
harsh.
CG, he don't get to play.
Dang, that is harsh. I don't know what to say to that.
It was fun knowing you guys.
Have you guys ever watched the movie? Have you ever guys watched the terrible movie called Sleepaway Camp?
No.
No.
Anyways, there's a line in there that says, "Eat shit and die." It's like, no, eat shit and live, Bill. This is eat shit and live, CG.
That's right. You tell him.
Death is too good for the likes of you.
No, just
But you
I don't
can
want
have
them
a
to die,
pack.
man. But it's like eat shit, mother. Like we got salty Sasha. How often do we get salty Sasha, man? Like, it's so rare that even like all of us are just like rolling our eyeballs out of our sockets over this. You know what I mean? It's like, come on.
I
Only
mean,
the people who
usually
didn't
I'm
ask
pretty.
for it.
Usually, I'm pretty understanding of a lot of the stuff that our community complains about in this game, but like this is pretty exceptional. Like bugs, nobody likes bugs. Everybody complains about bugs, but like to let something like this go basically untreated and not properly full on addressed, with any type of schedule, any type of look, we realize, people have lost out on climbing opportunities, or people will have, the Erodiums are going to have a couple of months of just getting wiped out by every non-Erodium they encounter along the way back down. Like, we've got this plan to fix this and compensate you guys. Nothing of the kind. Just get stuffed the lot of you. Here's guild gifting.
Yeah.
That's what's important. That is what is important.
Mm-hmm. Guys, we've mostly run through our topic list. Did you guys have any final notes here that you wanted to share with the people? Because we're getting long in the tooth here.
Yeah. I'll do the question I ask every single time at the end, or some amalgamation of it. Sure. Tass, what do you think the front wall is going to look like for you? Round 1, week 1. What's the strat? What's your thoughts on the strategy?
Well, I mean, for me, the first thing I want to see is if BKM is, gonna be effective here on defense in the same way that it was in 3s. Because I feel like with 5 characters, there's a lot more opportunity to do turn meter manipulation, and just run laps around her. And that we saw without the benefit of Bo-Katan's Crown last 5 season. We saw that was her nemesis, right? Like, everybody was saving her for offense to specifically crush Lord Vader, so people were doing stuff like EP Lord Vader, and if you decided to run the risk, you could end up getting looped and closed out. So we already kind of know that she was steaming people last season on offense. There's not a lot of intel to gain from trying her on offense week 1, I think. I am thinking for me, at least to start, she's going to be bottom front. Alongside, I think it's just generically good advice, Datacron teams. Unless something in the scouting report lends me otherwise. We're talking generically. So, like DTMG, Chirrut, I don't think it would be gas. It's not good. It might be 1 GL, but not more than 1, because the idea is that might be the only GL I show up front, and then you decide what I've got in the back. And I don't think it's going to be full on cheese back there, but I need you to be stressed about it. I need you to be thinking about it and making possibly suboptimal choices on how you're clearing my bottom front for fear of what I've got back there. And maybe I do got it, and maybe I don't. And, that's a you problem.
All right, Sasha, anything you want to add or anything that your strategy differs from Tass's?
No, I think very similar. Like, I really think it's going to be like that. I'm still trying to figure out a lot of sort of what's possible, and maybe the stuff that I have not discovered an easy solution for is just sort of what I throw front wall back and let others figure out for me. Yeah, I think it's probably the same thing. I don't expect to fully cheese, because as we've referred a few times, Tass mentioned it before, that like, I think a lot of folks will do that. Oh, these are the best or some of the very good non-GL squads, lower front, and then surprise, surprise, there's nothing behind them. I don't find that as fun to play offensively, or I just don't find the matches as fun, so I'm not doing that as much anymore. So I don't expect to do that. I'll set some stuff back there, but yeah, that's likely what I'll do. How about you guys?
Yeah, TJ, you in the same boat basically, because I don't have much to add to what they said either. So I have a follow-up because of that. So go ahead, TJ.
Week one is a tough one, right? For this one right now. Part of me wants to go my way, but I also know usually for good measure, I've told that's a dumb thing to do, and it's probably the same thing. High Bs feel like they're going to be – it's just what it is right now. No matter what I want to do to make it change, it's just not going to change, right? We're just
Don't try to make this work, TJ. It's not going to work.
Yep, and I'll still try
trying to make fetch happen.
Yep, and I'll probably still try to make it work, just like Bodie. I live for the dream.
So we'll start with you on the follow-up then, TJ, really quick. Mm-hmm. Are there any games that you're considering now based on known information?
Yes.
Would you like to share any of them?
Yes, I will take one. Can I distribute and disperse? And I'm going to say it like this. Can I split up some of my Mando team? Is there a world where I can split this off some? Some will know what I'm talking about. Some won't. I will leave it with that.
We're talking about just for clarity, we're talking about having BAM.
You got it.
Team, right?
Yeah, that's not revolutionary because we know.
That's what I'm saying. It's like this, yeah. but that's what I mean. Is there?
Yeah, but some of this is for that meat and potatoes for the people who listen to us be brief.
So is BAM a tool I have to have on BCAM, or can I really take him off? And he will kill. We all know this. He'll murder a GL. He'll kill GL teams with the right setup. So it's like, can we do that? Or is it really, if you want the right team on defense or this for BCAM, BAM has to be there?
Yeah, so, I mean, like, BAM's the type of thing where you're using it as a punch-up on offense if you're separating it from BCAM at all, which implies that if you're going to do that, that means you're trying to set a thicker defense, right?
Absolutely, but that's where it's like, I mean, knowing the bonus turn and what she gets to do, it is tough not to sell that she's not on defense, right? I think that's why you said it, Tass, and that means
we got to just.
That's what we don't know, right? Because it's like, oh, CLS kills this. Well, hell with that. She's not going right on.
Somebody's got to take the punch on finding out where the limits are, right? So
fuck around and find out is always a good rule because we want to make it. And then it's like the other step. I think you called it, and it's just the general nature. Doubt rules the roost right now. I would agree. Dagger Call protection up is gross, and it is gross, but it's not as gross as Doubt. Doubt changes the whole dynamic of your fight.
It's gross insofar as there are some teams that can steal additional banners, or in some cases when the margins are thin, they'll steal a win because of that product. And like I said, that's one of the reasons I was prioritizing crit damage. But Doubt is definitely superior to product. I'm just saying the product is also something that cannot be dismissed.
Yeah, I think that's my number one. I want to know, do I get to keep BAM for another super team? Or do I really have to put it together? I think that's my biggest one I want to know.
Yeah.
What about you, Sasha? Have you got any tricks or any games you want to try and play week one that you're willing to share?
None that I've really sorted out, so they're not ripe yet, but one of the things that I'm curious about is SAW and DTMG on offense, and it's just the darn Doubtcrons makes the SAW turret squad harder. But I've messed around in Arena. I don't have like a testing partner there, so I just kind of go up against random stuff, and I'm just finding Saw Turret, even without all the GAC armies for Saw, yeah, I guess it's just one GAC army for Saw active. It does surprisingly well, and DTMG takes out Java and a lot of other stuff. So those are possibilities, just moving them over, but not really ripe, not fully baked yet. But those are things I'm thinking. I do think the only thing I'll add is like I am gonna take like my OG Bo-Katan up. I think she was at like R5. I got her to R7, maybe even to R8, because I think the added protection she brings for Bo-Katan squad in fives is so worth it.
Yes.
Yeah, I've had her up there for a while, and I'm glad that that's going to pay off. I'm going to pretend like that was prophetic, and I did that on purpose years ago.
Well, you did it for the raid on purpose. But
Yes,
yeah,
I did. I did.
Yeah.
Yes, I did. I did do that.
Yeah, so I'll do myself, then I'll pass off to Tash where he can do the final thoughts thing, because I think we're close to the end. But yeah, I would like to revisit. Sasha mentioned it, and TJ mentioned it. Super teams to a degree. I think it would be interesting to, because I also don't have a super big deflection cron like Tash was mentioning, and even if I'm not able to get one, there's a pretty reasonable chance that I just start off next season with like Ray Cat. Right? If I can't make what I want to happen with my datacrons, like I think that Ray Cat provides an interesting wrinkle to some counters, especially if I think that my opponent's going to like, turtle up the way TJ's like trying to make fetch happen, right? I think there'll be a lot of people still trying to make that fetch happen. You know what I mean? I think there's gonna be a lot of people who just really don't want to lean into 7-2, maybe 1 or 3 GLs, right? They want to set 4 or 5 and hope that it's good enough, right? And I want to try to punish them with and it was said, I've been considering putting gas on JMK instead of Padme.
Yeah, there's going to be more experimentation with that, and then like people are going to try and make something rough and nasty out of like a shock lead or a 501st Rex lead with correct stuff. I don't know. There's gonna be stuff like that. I could see that, but that seems like that sort of shenaniganry is like week 2, week 3 stuff, right? I don't know if I'm seeing a lot of that up front this week.
I would like to spike some free wins week 1 while I'm still doing my conquest. It usually takes me 5 to 6 days to do my conquest. So I don't know how much datacron work I'm going to be able to do before week 2. Right? So for week 1, I don't know what my datacron situation is going to look like or how improved it will be. Because I'm back, it took me, I take vacations here and there, but I'm back like near the top 50. Right? So I am now outclassed by, not that I wasn't outclassed before. But now I'm laughably outclassed by datacrons. So it's about possibly needing to steal a win here or there against someone who is ill-prepared without history.
I hear you.
All right. I'll pass it over to you if there's any tricks or games you're trying to play, and then we can...
Well, no, I mean, I basically covered kind of what I'm doing. I mean, as far as tricks go, tricks are something that I'll develop. I mean, I'm going to look at the state of my crons for week 1 and see, like, what's the strongest. Because that's something because I don't invest generally too heavily into crons, I think that my mind doesn't look to lean into them more. And there might be money I'm leaving on the table in terms of setting good... This is a time to use these B teams, right? Like, we're in a state where the 3s and 6s have really raised the profile of B teams. So I'd say, again, just in the theme of having low to no GLs bottom front and having a game where let's see what you're willing to commit to these, and what's that, what does that leave you with when you get to the back here? That's about it, though, as far as tricks go for me. But no, that was pretty robust conversation, an intense final thought. Thank you, Jagger. TJ, your final thought. What do you want to leave the people with?
I think you guys covered it really well.
What didn't we cover?
That's what I'm saying. The final thought, honestly, is I think this one has a lot of merit to, especially, love your content creator evermore, right?
So you don't have to.
Yeah, this one right now, because everybody's going to have these min-max crons and seeing what's doing it, I think you want to jump on that as soon as you can to really help your week 1, because that's going to help you go far. Is also not to see, because one of the best thing is we don't have a testing ground. So being able to see what's going to happen, if like I might want to try this, I bet you one of the content creators are going to do the same thing, and they're going to look at the advice and they're going to take that and they're going to see it, and you actually get to visualize what's happening. I think that is super invaluable, and people should be really looking at that because that brings your game like tenfold.
That's fair. All right. Sasha, your final thought. What's the tidbit for the folks?
I'd say the same thing I ended up with last week. Just that Conquest on. It's the last time for the set 13. Get a few more of those Gautrons. I'll just leave it at that.
That's right. That's right. Show love to all of that. And I'm wrapping up right now, so it's great. Yeah, Mrs. just came to check and see how we're doing on this, and yes, it's been a good run. All right.
We were brief and leave it at that.
Yes, that's right. So thank you so much. Yeah, my own final thought here is yes. Really expand out and flesh out this set 13 for the last time. You've got 2 weeks here until Bane, so make your preparations. If you're like me and you've been preparing a gnarly new speed set for Bane, maybe start preparing a better health set instead, a series of health sets. Aside from that, yeah, it's just we're going to have to see how this new set extrapolates out with a couple more characters on the team, and that's always the nature of the beast. But as always, thank you, Dagger, TJ, Sasha, Isha, making the time to be with us here and record our show this evening. Let's go ahead and plug for my Patreon here because, this episode of Plotting and Scheming will come out next Monday. Let's pull up the calendar application. For my patrons, that'll be on Monday, February 26th, and our general YouTube subscriber base will see that on Friday, March 1st. So, as a patron, supporter of Tassenix Gaming, you do get access to all of the YouTube content a few days early, and that can be helpful in your preparations before that lock-in for the new season. So, something to consider. But yeah, let's pull this up and shameless self-plug. Oops, gotta fix that slide order real quick. But yeah, check out patreon.com/Tassenix. For any upwardly mobile GAC player, I think there's something of interest there for you. Whether it's, just getting into the TAS house to get that early access, or if you want to have access to, the premier GAC scouting tools like OmegaBot and now HotBot, I do have a new $15 tier that includes Patreon level access to myself, OmegaBot, and HotBot Chili. So if you're not familiar with using HotBot, not only do you get to do a nice little handy infographic scout that really helps you line up and understand your opponent's mods, relics, all that relative to yourself, you also have access to Hot Utils, the third-party website, which is extremely useful for loadout management. I know a lot of folks, TJ here included, who swear by it for their actual, modding, farming, management practices, all that stuff. So Hot Utils offers a lot there, and that's really the new add to the Patreon page. So more coming soon, though.
But really quick, for legal purposes, we do not advocate breaking terms of service.
Yes, that's also true. Yes. All right. Well, we also got to thank the patrons themselves, the fine folks that make this all possible. I haven't updated this for the latest. That new $15 tier is called Jester's. That's called VIP Access Premium. And I haven't added it to the slide yet, but we do have somebody who stepped up, and I'll mention that here in a moment. But at VIP access level, thank you goes out to White Wolf, Sam Vimes, Jobin4527, Sweens14, Stark Strategy Gamer, Lego Calrissian2187, Deadpool Cal28, Johnny B. Ottawa, Darth QPPMG, Rays Malvis, JJ's Productions Twitch, and Quig. At VIP Access Plus, thanks goes to Trevor Boy Gaming and Striker, getting that upgraded access to OmegaBot, which you guys know I love using that at the start of every stream to cover it. At VIP Access Premium, not pictured here, but near and dear to my heart, as it is the latest and greatest thing I've added, Sir Boss stepped up from VIP Access to seize the advantages, so appreciate you, man. And of course, last but never least, Jester's Club Elite, the one and only Nomad's Reaper, the man who crushed the level 17 hype train, not quite by himself, but mostly by himself. So, it's not anywhere near close to the first time he's just beaten the brakes off of a hype train for me. Just really appreciate the fantastic support, my man. Special thanks to Yoda Force, one of my original supporters back in the day. Got me the mic I'm speaking to you on right now. He's long since quit our game, but we remember him fondly on the other side. To Mrs. T, my wife, thank you so much for all your support on the back end, especially the patience and continuing to, dutifully, parent our child as I spend many, many hours trying to be decent at a phone video game. So much appreciated. And again, once more to Dagger, TJ, and Sasha Isha, my co-hosts here on Plotting and Scheming. Couldn't do it without you guys. I love what we do. We have a good time doing it, and the feedback just keeps rolling in. Folks are really enjoying what we're doing. The subscriber count's ticking up. We're closing in on 450, and that's all organic. That's not out there dropping in on every Swugger-related Discord and say, come check out my channel. Subscribe to my channel. This is just folks showing organic interest. So really appreciate you guys. I think we've got a winner here. All right, coming back over to our main scene. Again, folks, thank you so much for tuning in. It's always fun here to be with you guys and make this show. Until next time, it's been real. It's been awesome. It's been real awesome. Take care.